Hi, folks. Welcome to episode 142 of the Wealth on Any Income podcast. This is where we talk about money tips, techniques, attitudes, information, and provide inspiration around your business and your money. I'm your host, Rennie Gabriel. In past episodes, we spoke about how to understand the numbers from your business, how to measure the level of pleasure based on where you spend your money, how to track your money in 5 to 10 seconds, and what determines how close you are to complete financial choice, and how to run your business without being in your business. Last week, we had Stefan Zavalin, a blind unicorn labeled branding specialist, who has a unique way of having his clients stand out from the pack. Today, we have as our guest, Sarah Davison. Sarah is best known as the divorce coach. She is a multi-award-winning coach, twice best-selling author, and podcast host of Heartbreak to Happiness. Sarah is also a global media commentator for TV and radio on breakups, divorce, and life empowerment. Following the launch of Sarah's Breakup and Divorce Coach Practitioner Accreditation Program in 2018, the International Divorce Coach Center of Excellence, which has a coaching community of 300 divorce coaches spanning 18 countries and 5 continents. Sarah, this is the first question. Is that something that you created?
Yeah. So, as you introduced me there, I'm known as the divorce coach, and my mission is to help as many people as possible to cope better with any kind of breakup, including separation, heartbreak, and divorce. And so one of the ways that I do that is by training other people to turn their pain into power as well. And whether, most of my coaches are people that have been through their own tough breakups at some point in their life and want to use that experience to help others. So yeah, absolutely. I set up the training school about 7 years ago now.
Oh, fabulous. Well, and now what I can do that I did that is welcome to the Wealth on Any Income podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me, Rennie. Thank you so much.
We got a good idea from the bio what you do. And you mentioned just now that, other divorce coaches have had their own breakups. And I've had 2 divorces, so I know what that's like. But tell me why you're doing what you're doing. What inspired you to take this path?
Well, that's a great question. I have been coaching for 28 years. So it's a long time. But after I'd been coaching for about 15 years, I was married. I met my partner. I thought he was my soulmate. We had a global business together. We had an office in London, where I am. That's where I'm based, hence the accent you can probably pick up on. And we had an office in Sydney, Australia as well. So we had a huge team, nearly 200 staff. And, we worked together. We were both into self-help, personal development. And my son was nearly 2. And I found out literally overnight that my husband no longer wanted to be married to me. And not only did he not want to be married to me, he was madly in love with somebody else. And she was 12 years younger than me, which doesn't help. It also didn't help that she was stunningly beautiful. And Rennie, it doesn't help that they're stunningly beautiful either. I can tell you, it makes it so much harder.
Sarah, the people who are not watching this on YouTube, but only hearing the audio version will not know you're also beautiful. So
you're a gentleman, but thank you. But it was one of the hardest times of my life because suddenly everything that I knew, and anyone that's been through this will resonate. Anything you plan your future, you think, well, I'm married, that's it. I've got my son. We're building a family, we're growing a business. Overnight, I became a single mum. I lost my soulmate, who I thought was my best friend. I lost my business partner, and the future, I didn't know what to think, and I'm quite a emotionally strong person. I handle stress pretty well, but this just devastated me. I did a lot of that ugly crying on the bathroom floor, I did a lot of the panicking, phoning my mum at like 2 a.m. crying, saying, I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't sleep. And then after a couple of months, I realized, you know what? I've got to choice it. I either carry on like this and this divorce is going to be a black cloud over the rest of my life, or I decide to combine my coaching skills, which I've been coaching for about 15 years at that point, with this divorce process and find a way through. because I couldn't find anything that was specific to my scenario then. It was, 15 years ago. There wasn't much going on in to help people specifically for this. So that's what I did. I combined my skills together with the divorce process. I was in court for 2.5 years and it was horrendous, but I got through it. And my lawyer said to me, you should write a book, Sarah. You've done so well. And some of the tools that you're using would really help my other clients. Can you help them too? And that's where this all started. So it started when I actually gone back to Sydney to work in the office there. And I was sat on the beach looking out at the sea. I'm on Balmoral Beach. It's stunning. And I just thought, you know what, this pain cannot just be for me to just deal with and then move on somehow. I need to turn this into something that can help other people. If I can navigate this and I come up with some tools, then I can help other people do that. And so that's what I did. I combined those skills. And now they're the tools and skills that I share with people all over the world, whether that's in my online groups or the one-to-one coaching or the retreats or the coach training. And we're even going into businesses now and working with HR teams to support their staff going through breakups, because this impacts everyone, Rennie. I'm sure when you were working, it impacted your productivity, right?
Oh, absolutely right. And that's why I'm having you on the show. It's because while talking about divorce may sound off topic to a podcast that's about, business and finance, divorces can destroy people's finances. I know, having gone through 2 of them and having to start over after the second one, and also having a business failure, I started over from scratch at age 50, but within 8 years, rebuilt things and no longer had to work for a living. So the whole point is what you went through, what others go through, it can be overcome. And so I'm thrilled to have you as a guest on the podcast. And the next question I ask everyone, because I donate 100% of the profits from the work that I do, from my books, my programs, to charity, tell me what cause is most important to you that you support.
Wow. Well, yeah, great question, because I'm the patron of a domestic abuse charity. So one of the things I realized coming out of my relationship was that it was toxic, and being in it, I hadn't really seen it. And also I didn't think those things happened to people like me naively at the time, but coming out and then seeing how the divorce process played out, a lot of post-separation abuse, I realized, wow, this is a real thing. And it was devastating. So I actually support a charity called the Dash Charity, which is a domestic abuse charity that supports men, women and children dealing with abuse. And that could be any kind of abuse, from emotional, financial, physical, sexual. Coercive control is a big thing that I see every day in my own clinic. So I donate to the charity part of the money that I make with certain products, because I now teach people. I'm running a retreat this week on how to divorce a toxic partner and recover from the trauma. And so we donate to the charity. Everything we do around the abuse topics, we donate to the charity to help, because they do such great work.
That's fabulous. And it's so much in alignment with what you're doing. Now, in a way, we've covered this ground before, but I'm going to ask this question anyway. And it's a 2-part question. What would you say was your biggest failure? And what insight did you gain from that? How are you using it?
It's a great question, actually, and it isn't my divorce actually that I see as a failure, okay. and I actually don't look at failure. So failures are pretty awesome, I think, because this is where you get a chance to learn. Like you just said, you created a business, after your business failed, and after 9/11, I had to shut my business in the UK because I was the first promoter in the UK to fly motivational speakers from the US. Like, you guys are always like 10 years ahead of us on any self-help, personal development. So to get any of the decent speakers, I had to fly you over. So I flew you over to speak on stage over here in the UK. And I had a business going, and I set that business up when I was, 21, 22. And it was my life. I had 8 staff. We had an office in London. I loved it. We were running events with, thousands of people. It was insane. And then 9/11 happened, tragically. And none of my speakers, especially my main speaker, wanted to fly. I don't know if you remember, right by then, people were thinking, It's not safe. I'm just going to, my main speaker said, I'm going to go get married. I've rethought my whole life. This has made me reevaluate everything. And so I had to walk in the next day. I had a call at 2 a.m. from my American speaker saying, I know we've got events scheduled. I'll make you good, but I'm not coming. And so I had to walk back into the office and tell myself that I was laying them off. And I learned so much from that, my identity wasn't that business. That was important because I thought that was who I was. So for a while, I didn't know who the hell I was. And then I started to realize, well, actually, you know what? I did that once. I can do it again. I just need to think what's going to work right now for me and what can I grow? And so actually learning from that, learning from the mistakes I made and learning from the things that worked and then channeling that into something else meant that I was able to start my second business, which was with my ex-husband actually in the end.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm glad to find out what I thought was the issue wasn't the issue.
Yeah.
This question's a little bit like asking for a case study, but when people work with you, I have the feeling that things turn out pretty good. But give me an example of, someone who was in a situation, was in a divorce, maybe it was a toxic relationship, how you might have worked with them and what transpired. How did they turn around? What was that result?
Yeah, well, my style of coaching is very dynamic, very results focused. And I have a whole toolkit of empowering life skills that I share with people to help them take their power back so that they can, learn. So it's not about people becoming dependent on me or my coaches that I train. It's about showing people how they can do this, take their power back and do it for themselves. So one lady came to me, and I've worked with thousands of people all over the world. And this is quite a common scenario. People come and they think they're never going to find a partner. They're never going to be loved again. Being alone for the rest of their life. It's actually one of the biggest fears, Rennie, that people have after a breakup. And usually they have two criteria for dating again. The first one is they have a pulse. And then very true, right? We'll be there. And then the second one is they give them the tiniest sign of affection. And then they go into what I call limpet mode and sort of sucker themselves to this poor human being. So one of the exercises that I do with my clients is to look at their values and what's important for them and to look at designing your ideal partner. But, most of us know what we want, right? We know, tall, dark, handsome, short, blonde, blue eyes, whatever. We know that. That's pretty easy. So that's usually what we will hone in on if we're on a date or if we're looking for a partner. But the thing is, what people miss is, what do you need? Now, that is when you learn to bank the lessons that life has taught you with your previous partners, right? Then you're going to keep making those same mistakes until life slaps you around the face enough for you to go, okay, I'm going to learn it, I'm going to bank it, and I'm never going to do that again. So we do that in the session. So with one lady, she came and she'd just been doing this limpet mode thing and it wasn't working, and he was getting really fed up with her. So we went through this and she was like, right, I'm going to try it. I'm going to go out and do it. And, she had to kiss a few frogs, but now she's one of my first clients that I actually got married again, and I got an invite to the wedding. So that's always nice to see that you can go through such pain. But again, like I said, adversity can be your greatest gift if you learn the lessons from it. So now she's like, well, actually, if I hadn't have gone through that, I would never be where I am today. And I think that's what life's about. It's always going to throw you curveballs. There's always going to be challenges. There's always going to be things that knock you sideways. But if you can learn from them and not see that, you can call it what you like. If you want to call it a failure, fine. But ultimately, if you learn from it, that's when you take that pain and turn that into your power, which is what this life is all about. If you can do that, you're growing, you're moving forward, and that's your greatest chance of stacking the odds for you to be happy.
And I agree so much with what you said. I'm going to have another question, but to verify what you were talking about, when my wife and I, my current wife and I, my best, most fabulous, greatest wife, we've been together 25 years now.
Wow.
And when we first got together, I had a list of 20 items that were important to me. She had a list of 72 items. So I probably met 60, 70% of her list, and she met 18 and a half of my list of 20.
Wow.
So we knew it would be a good match. And here we are 25 years later, and it's still fabulous. So
I love it. I love that.
So knowing the values, knowing what you want, as well as what you don't want, I think is very important.
I always do your 5 must not haves as well. So there are up to 5 things that you will not tolerate. And especially for those people that have been in toxic relationships, this is like a safety net. And what happens is if any of those must not haves, whether that's lying or being rude or even, it could be something like smoking, things that for you are deal breakers, that will never work with you. Then what we say is if any of these show up, whether it's date 1, date 2, date 3, we do not try and fix them. We don't say, when they get to know me, they'll change or it'll be different with me. No. We deploy our parachute and we exit the building immediately. So that's what the 5 must not haves are there for, just to give you that safety net that you were talking about.
And that is so vital. And one of the items on my list was they need to be a non-smoker. Not that they won't smoke, they must be a non-smoker. So,
yeah, love it.
So now, is there a valuable free resource that you can offer that can get my audience to connect with you?
Yeah, we have free resources on my website, saradavison.com. But also we have The Split, which is my book that is, if you are going through a breakup, 30 days from breakup to breakthrough. And it's like each day there's a chapter that you can read that gives you an action that you can follow through and do. So we can provide that for you for sure.
Fine. I have something that says Heartbreak to Happiness.
Yeah, well, we also have Heartbreak to Happiness. You can have that too. So these are online groups. They're support groups. They're Zoom meetings. So everyone's on camera. You don't have to go on camera if you don't want to, but you have to go on and say hi so we know it's you. But it's a great way to share. You can share some of your story. They're run by my accredited coaches, and they're all trained. The coaches that run these all trained on domestic abuse as well. So you can go and talk about any kind of breakup, your heartbreak, what you're dealing with, ask questions and get the coaching from the coaches. So we run at the moment, we're running about 8 sessions a week, and you can pick and choose which ones you go to. The first week is to you completely free. So if you want to come along for the first week, you can get up to 8 hours of support from my coaches. And then after that, it's less than $8 a week to attend anyway. So it's pretty affordable for most people. But that's why we do it, because there weren't any resources when I was going through this, Rennie, and I wanted to provide resources that are accessible for everybody. So yeah, it's a great way to find your tribe and to get your questions answered.
Fabulous. And Sara, I want to thank you for being on the Wealth on Any Income show. This is valuable.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Rennie. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you. And to all of those who are listening, if you'd like to know how books, movies, and society programs you to be poor and what the cure is, then log on to wealthonanyincome.com/TEDx. You'll hear my TED Talk and can request a free 9-step roadmap to complete financial choice and philanthropy, and receive a weekly email with tips, techniques, or inspiration around your business or your money. And if you'd like to see how you can increase your wealth and donate to the causes that touch your heart, please check out our affordable program, Wealth with Purpose. To my listeners, thank you for tuning in. And you can listen to the Wealth on Any Income podcast on your favorite platform. And please rate, review, and subscribe. Until next week, be prosperous. Bye-bye for now.